I didn't quite feel the same about the lyrics a little bit later on in life as I got a bit further down the road.
When people talk about the greatest rock songs of all time, there's one track that almost always floats to the top, Stairway to Heaven.
And she's following the stairway to heaven.
It's an anthem, a rite of passage for aspiring guitarists, and a song that helped shape the legacy of one of rock's most iconic bands, Led Zeppelin. But here's the twist. Robert Plant, the man who wrote and sang it, actually hates it. To understand why, we need to look deeper beyond the soaring solos and poetic lyrics into the fascinating, sometimes painful story of a song that changed everything. Led Zeppelin was no ordinary band. Made up of vocalist Robert Plant, guitar god Jimmy Page, bassist and keyboardist John Paul Jones, and the thunderous John Bonham on drums, they weren't just making music, they were rewriting the rules of rock. Throughout their career, the band crafted over 100 songs across 8 studio albums, from the raw energy of Heartbreaker to the Eastern-inspired mysticism of Kashmir. And among those tracks, Stairway to Heaven stood out not just as a fan favorite, but as a cultural force. Released in 1971 on their untitled 4th album, often called Led Zeppelin 4, the song was co-written by Plant and Page. It begins quietly, almost like a whisper, before building into an explosive climax, showcasing one of the most iconic guitar solos ever recorded. Rolling Stone famously described it as a furious Page solo that storms Heaven's Gate. But the story doesn't stop at the sound. There are myths about Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah, what I was talking about. Every other fucker is. I mean...
Some fans swore that when played backward, hidden satanic messages could be heard in the lyrics, a claim that sparked outrage among conservative groups in the early 80s. Of course, the band denied any involvement in such things, with Plant calling it ludicrous. There's also the legend that Page, who was fascinated with the occult and once owned Aleister Crowley's former mansion, was channeling something deeper when composing the song. Whether you believe it or not, that mysterious energy surrounding the track only added to its allure. But for Robert Plant, none of the mystique mattered. Over time, the constant requests, the obsessive fan worship, and the expectation to always perform Stairway began to wear thin. In a 1988 interview with the Los Angeles Times, Plant said bluntly, "I'd break out in hives if I had to sing that song in every show." He even referred to it mockingly as that bloody wedding song. By the 1980s, he had stopped performing it live altogether. His frustration reached a peak in 2002 when he heard a Portland radio DJ promise to never play the song again if listeners donated enough money to the station. Plant personally sent in $1,000 to make it happen. And yet, despite all this, Stairway to Heaven remains the most played rock song in history, even though it never charted when it was first released. That's because Led Zeppelin refused to release singles in the US, preferring fans to experience albums in their entirety. But the song would come back to haunt Plant and Page in an even bigger way. In 2014, Led Zeppelin was hit with a lawsuit. The allegation that the iconic intro to Stairway had been lifted from Taurus, a 1968 instrumental track by a little-known American band called Spirit. The plaintiffs claimed that Plant had seen Spirit live in Birmingham back in 1970, and that he could have subconsciously copied the melody. Spirit's bassist, Mark Andes, even testified that he'd met Plant that night and shared a game of snooker with him. Plant, however, insisted he didn't remember the show, the band, or even that evening, due to a car accident later that night that caused a head injury. Page, for his part, said the riff was totally alien to him and that he'd never even heard of Taurus. The court battle dragged on for years. Led Zeppelin won the initial case in 2016, lost the appeal in 2018, and ultimately the U.S. Supreme Court declined to hear the case in 2020, officially putting the lawsuit to rest and vindicating the band once and for all. So, while Robert Plant may never truly escape Stairway to Heaven, at least he won't be dragged into another courtroom over it. And maybe, just maybe, the story of the song says more about us than it does about him. It's a tale of fame, pressure, obsession, and the sometimes heavy cost of creating something timeless, even if the creator no longer wants to carry it. Thanks for watching Rock Fame Diaries. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the story behind Stairway to Heaven, hit that like button and share it with your fellow rock fans. More legendary tales from the world of rock and roll are coming soon, from behind-the-scenes drama to music that changed history. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Because here at Rock Fame Diaries, we don't just tell music stories, we uncover the soul behind the sound. Thank you and God bless.
To